And as the daughter of a school teacher, I know just how important education is. No matter how old you are or your situation, continuing to learn will enrich your life and help remove barriers you didn't even know were there. So much opportunity, y'all. Whether it's a foreign language, history, or a different way to look at things, take some time each day to learn something new. This message is courtesy of the United States Air Force.
You're listening to the home of Sooner fans, KREF, Norman, Oklahoma, and streaming live on the KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
I was muted the whole freaking time. That's on me. I'm the idiot here.
You had me over here looking like, do I know what the hell I'm doing?
I think that's the first time I've ever just flat out forgotten that mute switch exists. Because I never really use it. Steely uses it all the time.
Right.
Because Steely coughs a lot and eats Lifesavers gummies a lot. So, I never used the mute switch, though. It just happened to be on. And I started introducing the show before quickly realizing no one can hear what I'm saying. You can hear me now, right?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, we're good. We were good on my side the whole time. And I'm over here wondering if I'm an idiot.
Oh, well, I had an old man rant yesterday, and I had an old man moment to kick off the show today, which shouldn't happen because I'm not an old man and won't be for some time. You know what sounds great right now, Grayson?
What's that?
A good old Oklahoma onion burger. That might be the move once we get off the air.
An
at 3
onion
o'clock.
burger?
Yeah, come on now. Are you not familiar with the Oklahoma onion burger?
Can't say that I am.
Really?
No.
Really? Okay, here's what I want you to do. At some point this week, I want you to make your way to Tucker's up off of I-35 and Robinson.
Okay.
In that shopping center where there's the Target and there's the Crest
Yeah,
and all that. Yeah.
I get my hair cut over there.
Exactly. Go up there, go to Tucker's Onion Burgers. It is, for my money, the best simple burger you will ever eat in your life. You know, you can go places and you can get these dressed up fancy burgers, and that's almost a completely different category.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just talking about a good old basic burger, it does not get any better than Tucker's. As of right now, we don't have an official onion burger sponsor here on the Ref. Tucker's, if you want to change that, hit me up. I'm already giving you some free pub here.
I guess I'll take your advice at some point.
Come on, man. You've lived in Oklahoma for how long?
Going on year 5.
And you've never had an onion burger?
No.
Brother.
Is this just a burger with some big-ass onions on it?
Basically, it is. So it's onions pattied into the burger. So like when they smash it on the grill, they smash it with onions. I think it's originally like a Dust Bowl thing, if I recall correctly. It goes all the way back to the days of the Dust Bowl when they had to make stuff more hearty, so they would just add onions.
Interesting. Okay. I got to be over there on Thursday because I'm playing in a men's league over at the YFAX, so maybe I'll.
How many games you got? Just one?
Just one on Thursday, yeah.
Get that game over with,
yeah.
Then head over to Tucker's, and that meal will hit after basketball.
Papa Boganowski says, at Grok, troubleshoot Parker's technical difficulties.
Mike? No. You know better than that.
Get him, Mike.
Outlaw Devil says Smitty's Garage's onion burger is good too. That it is.
I didn't know they had an onion burger at the garage. That's a place I frequent a lot.
A 580 listener says, Grayson, go to your Instagram and search Oklahoma Onion Burger, LOL.
The Streak says, no onion burgers? Yeah, tar and feather him.
There was somebody, there were a couple people that were like, yeah, onion burgers aren't that good. And to those of you that say onion burgers aren't that good, you're not missing much, you're not a real Oklahoman.
A lot of people are saying this place in El Reno has better onion burgers.
Sid's Onion Burgers in El Reno. Yeah, that place is pretty iconic. I haven't made it out there yet. I need to at some point. KW918 says, sorry, Parker. If it's not in Stillwater, Grayson's unfamiliar with whatever you're mentioning.
That's insane.
Oh, the poke slander is building back up. Let's redirect.
I've been to a decent amount of the Norman local establishments.
Let's redirect. We never did officially award K-Ref Recruiter of the Month yesterday.
I was thinking about that yesterday, too.
So we should probably do that. Now, the 3 finalists were Ben Arbuckle, Bill Bedenbow, and who was the third finalist? DeMarco Murray. Yes, the one you nominated. Yes, DeMarco Murray. Brain glitched out for a second. How about this?
Again.
We will take a poll on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, and we will take a poll on the YouTube chat because we are on YouTube every single day. So cast a vote for DeMarco Murray, for Ben Arbuckle, or for Bill Bedenbow. And Grayson, don't let me forget before the end of the hour, we have to award K-Ref Recruiter of the Month one way or another. Can't forget again. It's July 1st, which means it's the last acceptable day to issue this award for the month of June.
Sound good to me.
Jake from Wisconsin says, if you don't like onion burgers, your mom's a hoe.
Well, I don't like onion. Well, I don't know. I've never had an onion burger, but I do know my mom's not a hoe.
Oh, y'all are crazy. Roberts, Johnny's, and Sid's in El Reno, according to Shark. Okay. I got some establishments that I need to hit up.
Already got one vote for Bill Bedenbow.
I'm genuinely surprised, and I was surprised yesterday by how divided the text line seemed to be, because in years past, you get a quarterback of Bo Bentley's status, the overwhelming majority of the votes on the text line were going to go to the individual responsible for recruiting said quarterback.
Yes.
So, man, I'm surprised that the text line hasn't just handed it to Ben Arbuckle. But it is also nice to see Bill Bedenbow's strong work on the recruiting trail acknowledged, because he's a guy whose recruiting efforts I feel have kind of been taken for granted by this fan base at times in the past. Deacon Schmidt and Noah Best were 2 great pickups, form a great foundation for Oklahoma on the offensive line.
I'm on the island with DeMarco Murray, and I'm okay with being on that island.
And you know what?
I know I was thinking out of the box with that.
Oh, yeah, it's an acceptable answer, because – look, you go land a blue-chip running back, top 25 player in the country at his position in the span of 6 weeks, offer to commitment. Yes, that's more than worth a tip of the cap. And though the Oklahoma front office was heavily involved in that process, and though it was kind of a whole staff effort once DeZephan Walker got to town because he was the only high school official visitor that weekend, the primary reason he committed to Oklahoma, well, there are 2 of them, right? A, he wanted to play in the SEC. B, he wanted to play for a guy in DeMarco Murray that himself has played the position at a very high level and that he can count on to develop him. CJ Sooner in Florida says, I was higher on Jaden O'Neal, so I go Bill Bedenbow. Higher on Jaden O'Neal than Bo Bentley, huh? Well, okay.
Papa Boganowski has said DeMarco Murray.
There you go.
So he agrees with me.
He rides with you on a lot of stuff, though.
He does.
He does. He finds your takes to be pretty spot on, generally speaking. You have a fan.
Bill Bedenbow is the current leader right now.
Okay.
Which is interesting because yesterday when we started off the show, I think most of the votes coming in from the text line were for Ben Arbuckle, so we're kind of evening out here.
I love it, man, because I've fought the fan base for years on Bill Bedenbow. This is phenomenal. If we end up handing the award to Bill Bedenbow, I fully support it. Ben Arbuckle is probably going to be around long enough that he'll win this award more than a time or 2. But Bill Bedenbow, the amount of folks that have slandered that man's name over the course of the last several years, even before the disaster class that was 2024 up front, which, again, in my opinion, couldn't really have been helped because of all of the injuries.
Right.
There are folks, and I know Jim Nagy, back when he was executive director of the Senior Bowl, tweeted about this as well. I got Jim Nagy on my side with this. There are folks who do not adequately appreciate Bill Bedenbaugh's contributions over the last 12 years at the University of Oklahoma. Because he is, by many accounts, the premier offensive line coach in all of college football. Does that mean he is perfect at the job? No, because no one is. But you got to think about this. I've brought this up before. It's not that hard to pick up on the fact that Bill Bedenbaugh doesn't have a recruiter's type of personality, right?
Nope.
Bill Bedenbaugh is not a relational galvanizer, if you will. What he is an excellent X's and O's football coach that anybody who's been around him, been in films room with him will tell you, he has a brilliant mind for the game. And that's what enables him to recruit effectively. It's not the fact that he's going to be these kids' best friend. And boy, he's not. If you've ever watched Bill Bedenbaugh on the practice field, if you've ever watched him getting his unit ready before a game, I tell you, he is biting off the F-bombs at his players, left and right. It's genuinely hilarious to watch.
Which, by the way, is kind of what you want from an offensive line coach.
Exactly. Like, everybody that signs up to play for Bill Bedenbaugh, they're not signing up because they're best friends with Bill Bedenbaugh. They sign up to play for the University of Oklahoma because they understand that if there's anybody that can develop them for a future in the NFL, it is Bill Bedenbaugh. Here's an interesting question. With the obvious exception of Caden Green, who left under circumstances. I'm not even going to bother throwing in an adjective there. We all understand what went on there. I think it is certainly the case that in the transfer portal era, you have seen players depart the University of Oklahoma and go on to have success elsewhere. Whether it's a guy like Charleston Rambo, who had a 1,000-plus yard season down at Miami, or a guy like Tanner Mordecai, who was playing second fiddle at the quarterback position to Kyler Murray, goes down. I think he had a couple decent years at SMU and then went to Wisconsin, which going to Wisconsin for a quarterback is just a weird business decision in the first place. But you get the picture. You can think of many an example over the years of guys that started out their collegiate career at Oklahoma and then they go on to have success at another institution. Trey Sermon at running back comes to mind. How many times has Oklahoma lost an offensive lineman to the transfer portal, and that offensive lineman has amounted to much of anything at his next stop?
Can we say Caden Green had a good year at Missouri?
He had a decent year.
He had a decent year. He's probably the start and the end of the list.
I guess the point I'm making there is when Oklahoma loses offensive linemen to the transfer portal, historically, for one thing, they're getting processed out because they're not good enough. And for another thing, it becomes very strikingly obvious in the aftermath that they were the issue and not Bill Bedenbaugh.
Yes.
It's like, okay, this guy just couldn't crack it. He couldn't cut the mustard at Oklahoma. That, to me, speaks to how good at his job Bill Bedenbaugh is.
I think it's an astute point. Jake from Wisconsin on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line says, if your offensive line ain't an SOB, then you got to get a new one. I tend to agree with that.
Randy from Miami says, flood at Texas. Is it Miami or Miami? I never know. Flood at Texas is miles ahead of Bill. Look at the production and recruiting. Texas has come up the last couple of years as far as their offensive line play and the talent that they've put in the NFL. Kyle Flood should not be dismissed in that conversation. But again, if we're looking at the body of work, the resume, not just, and let's not be prisoners of the moment. Yes, as of late, you can make the argument Kyle Flood has outpaced Bill Bedenbaugh. On the whole, if we're looking at his overall resume as an offensive line coach, I don't know if there's a guy in college football that can hold a candle to Bill Bedenbaugh.
Drew from Flower Mound says, so are we only talking about Recruiter of the Month for football? Generally, yes, but I think we can make exceptions at certain points. Also, by the way, on the YouTube chat, we do have a super chat from SBC Bates. Shout out J&W Grill in Chickasha.
J&W Grill.
J&W Grill in Chickasha.
Hey, Chickasha is not terribly far from where I live, out in Blanchard.
I was about to say you're a lot closer to Chickasha than we are.
I might have to swing down to J&W Grill at a certain point. Listen, you got an onion burger I need to try. Hit me up with that. because I'm not going to miss out on a good Oklahoma onion burger.
By the way, we will not be on YouTube tomorrow.
We will not, huh?
We will not be on YouTube. We have to break down that studio that you're
Oh,
sitting
that's
in right
right.
now.
Yes. Everything is in a state of chaos right now in my life. The studio is undergoing renovations this week, which we only have to do one more show this week, tomorrow, and then we're off Thursday and Friday. So, a good point from OU John in 918. What has changed recently for Flood? NIL?
Randy from Miami says, who brought in the guys that can't make it at OU?
Fair point.
That's a good counterpoint.
Again, nobody's going to nail every single evaluation. An offensive line is a very hard position to evaluate.
Indeed.
Anybody who has worked at that level will tell you it is the hardest position to evaluate out of high school because you just, to a certain extent, you don't know what you're going to get. Now, I mentioned it's chaos here in the studio and will be for the next few days. It's also chaos over at OUinsider.com, which is where I kind of point you all for the best OU recruiting intel. All the stuff that I can't say here on these airwaves gets posted up at OUinsider.com. It's a great place to be. However, as of right now, OUinsider.com, the domain, the message board, all of the content is getting actively migrated over to the On3 network, which is great because guess what? If you have a smartphone, OUinsider.com is more accessible than ever before via the On3 app. But boy, the amount of texts and DMs and private messages that I've had to field today from people going, hey, I can't get logged into OU Insider. Yeah, you and me both. You and me both. Migrations are such a headache. I had to deal with one in May of 2023 when we moved from 24/7 to Rivals. Migrations spur all sorts of problems. And so if you've had problems accessing OUinsider.com today, rest assured you are not the only one, and those issues will likely be resolved in a matter of hours. There are some, as of last check with the IT folks at On3, they have over 1,000 outstanding support requests or tickets. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of swamped right now. But those issues are getting worked out in real time, and hopefully by the end of the week, there will be no issues that remain unaddressed, and it will be business as usual on the On3 network and on the On3 app for us at OUinsider.com. So if you want to join the party over there, now is as good a time as ever to do. Well, I shouldn't say now is as good a time as ever. Maybe like tomorrow or Thursdays.
I was going to say, right now is not the best time.
It's there's a lot going on. But On3 makes it real easy to try it out, see if you like it. It's $1 for the first week. It's an evergreen deal that they have. Pay $1, get a week of VIP access at OUinsider.com. If you like it, you can stick around. I think you will. I think everybody will.
That UPS guy says tight ends are also pretty hard to evaluate.
Tight ends, and the thing about tight end is that so much of the industry's calculus has evolved with regard to evaluating tight ends, because there are still true tight ends coming out of the high school ranks that signed to go play P4 football. There are also a lot of guys that signed to play tight end that have never played that position in their lives, and they're just big jumbo athletes who have been playing quarterback or wide receiver or somewhere on the defensive side of the ball in some cases. Oklahoma has signed a guy pretty recently that fits that bill in Cade McIntyre back in the 2023 class. Cade McIntyre played wide receiver and linebacker in high school, but he signed with Oklahoma to play tight end. They were the only school that wanted him at tight end. Everybody else thought he was a linebacker. So the modern evaluation process with tight ends dictates that teams take flyers on what you might categorize as just jumbo athletes as opposed to traditional tight ends more so than ever before. So, yes, I would actually agree with that assessment from that UPS guy. Tight ends are harder to evaluate because you have no idea how readily a guy like that is going to take to the position. And so if you want to hit it big with a tight end prospect, and generally speaking, that's what you have to do If you really want to hit it big, you can't go find a guy who plays tight end in high school. You have to go find a guy who plays another position but has a degree of athleticism that you feel will absolutely translate to the spot. Man, that's kind of the risk you have to take. This guy might not amount to anything. He might turn out to be really, really freaking good with his traits. That's the game these days when it comes to evaluating tight ends. Okay, folks, 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. So many of you have already weighed in throughout the first segment. The show brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Head out there, grab an onion burger on your way, and let them get you set up with one of the most reliable cars, trucks, and or SUVs on the market. Just depends on your taste. Also got outstanding service technicians out there. Half-price oil changes on Saturdays. It's a family-owned and operated establishment. Many reasons to go check out Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Many reasons to stick with us here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll be back in a moment. Keep it here.
Are you in need of purchasing your own health insurance? Are you turning 65 and confused about Medicare? Are you an employer looking at offering benefits to your staff? Call the agents at Allison Insurance. They'll sort through the confusion. They're not captive to just one company, and they'll get the best option for you. Don't get frustrated. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. Allison Insurance. They are the experts.
Considering refinancing your mortgage? Now might be the perfect time to start planning. With rates on the move, Stride Bank can help you determine if you may be able to lower your monthly payments, shorten your loan term, or tap into your home's equity. Stride's expert mortgage advisors will work with you to tailor a solution that fits your needs. With local roots and national reach, Stride Bank is your go-to partner for all your banking needs. Stride Bank, your trusted financial partner since 1913. Find out more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 means Home Creations. Beats and Bites Festival is back again at Riverwind Casino. Dance all night at the I Want My 80s tour on July 19th, featuring Rick Springfield, John Waite, Paul Young, and Wayne Chung. Along with crave-worthy eats from local food trucks. Get your tickets online or at the box office for just $10. Only at Riverwind Casino.
Whether it's yesterday, today, or tomorrow, no one covers the Sooners like we do. From the voice of the Sooners on The Rush every day for the triple option.
We've landed on the triple option, and I'm excited.
To the Plank Show, taking over your morning drive from 6 to 9.
Every single radio person, what they want to do is they want to do a morning show.
And the addition of the SEC Network's Darinoka from 9 to noon.
While remembering that Oklahoma is top dog, I want to bring an SEC perspective.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Norman Chamber of Commerce, Visit Norman, and the City of Norman encourage you to shop local this summer. Find good eats right here like Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. They've got delicious burgers, giant salads, and a front row seat to the next big game. Make sure to get the Young Family Athletic Center on your kids' summer schedule. Court rentals are always available to reserve in advance. Plus, camps, clinics, and leagues are going on now, and it's not too late to sign up. Get your gear ready for the season with Bamboa Apparel. Custom hats, polos, tees, and jackets embroidered just for your team at Bamboa Apparel. Visit Sooner Bowling Center this summer, featuring 24 lanes, a newly remodeled arcade, and the Spare Time Grill. Plus, check out summer camps at SoonerBowl.com. When you eat, shop, and play local, you help the Norman community thrive.
Every day, we rise, challenging ourselves to work for what we believe in. At U.S. Border Patrol, protecting our borders is more than a job, it's a calling. Agents answer the call, working together to keep our country and communities safe. If you're ready for a new mission, join U.S. Border Patrol and go beyond. Learn more at cbp.gov/careers/Border Patrol.
Yep, keep sending onion burger recommendations on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. This is what the text line was made for, right here.
I still don't know how I feel about the concept of an onion burger.
Do you like onions?
Sure.
Okay.
I cook with them every now and then.
Okay. Well, there you go. Like, I understand why it might sound or seem repulsive to people who don't like onions. My wife doesn't really like onions. She does like a Tucker's onion burger, though. I love onions, and therefore, a Tucker's onion burger, heaven. Every single time. Every time. A 405 listener says, Patty Gasso just texted a go boomer. She did? She texted to you? I saw she tweeted it. You got Patty Gasso's digits. Dang, good on you. But, yes, Patty Gasso did tweet a go boomer. I'll tell you this. You know exactly who that is if you're a member at OUinsider.com, because our man Jesse Crittenden has been all over that process over the last few days.
See, I would know if, I could log into OU Insider right now.
Oh, it's a struggle for some folks. Keep trying. Keep trying. I wish I could provide you any more insight or direction than that, but I am not an IT person. I'm just a reporter, folks. Greg Muskogee says, yeah, I signed up for OU Insider 2 weeks before y'all made the switch from 24/7 Arrivals, and I got stuck with that crew for a year, never doing that crap again. Well, you missed out, Greg, because at the time we offered a comp subscription to anybody that wanted to follow us over. So if you'd sent us a message.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, you sent us a message. We would have comped your subscription for a whole year minus 2 weeks at Rivals. But hey, if you want to jump back on board, OUinsider.com is now on the On3 network. It's going to be a great time, especially because of the On3 app. Just one tap, open the app, boom, there's all your OU content. Leatherneck Sooner says Dan's Old Time Diner over by Westmore is good too. You're not the first person to mention that. So I'm inclined to trust that review. Landon from the 405 on the topic of tight ends wants to know, so is Kanik ever going to see any meaningful snaps ever again at Oklahoma? Yes, I do believe he is at tight end this fall. Is he going to be the starter? I don't know. It's legitimately anybody's game right now. As I've said, this is kind of how it breaks down. As I understand it, Caden Helms is the most well-rounded tight end that Oklahoma has right now. Kanik is easily the most athletic because duh. And Carson Kent is the best blocker to this point. And so, different strokes for different folks, no diddy. It just depends on what you need out of your tight end. What Ben Arbuckle wants out of his tight end within the scheme. They're trying to stretch the field. They're probably going with Jaren Kanik. They're playing smash mouth ball. I'd guess they have Carson Kent in there. If they want to maintain some balance, make the defense account for both the run and the pass and just kind of disguise their intentions with the personnel, then probably leaning on a guy like Caden Helms. Do we have a consensus yet on the text line as to who KREF Recruiter of the Month for June is?
So I'm gonna put this in election coverage terms. We have seen a surge as we have continued to filter through the different counties here.
How are the bellwether counties looking?
Ben Arbuckle has taken the lead.
Okay. There we go.
So the early counting was on Bill Beadenbow early in this hour. It has now started to migrate back toward Ben Arbuckle.
Hey, keep firing away, folks. Beadenbow or Arbuckle, it's become a two-man race at this point. DeMarco Murray might as well make his concession speech, I think. Beadenbow or Arbuckle?
Yeah, DeMarco's going to probably have to drop out of here real quick.
Doug and Norman referred us to a text from yesterday on the topic of tight ends. He said tight end depth chart can only be described as unsettled. Athlon's projected starters Carson Kent. Lindy's projected starters Will Huggins. Phil Steele's projected starters Caden Helms. And they all claimed to have interviewed the coach.
Which goes back to what I said yesterday, that we don't know a damn thing about anybody in this room.
Nothing. Completely up in the air, which is kind of fun, isn't it? Like,
It
you
is-
get a
it is
legit
really fun.
position battle.
It
How
is-
many of those are there going to be at OU this fall?
Here's the thing, though. It would be fun if there weren't 7 of them.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't think it's going to be John Locke, the walk-on. I don't think it's going to be Trinae Washington, the true freshman. I feel like you can safely eliminate 2 of the 7, but it could be any of the other 5. Evan from Blanchard said, "Stop the steal." Seth and Piedmont added, "Did I just hear a no diddy on these here airwaves? Yeah, I'm where I'm meant to be." Yes, you did, Seth and Piedmont. And yes, you are where you meant to be. Oh, gosh, I don't even want to know. I haven't checked in on political Twitter today. I don't do that on most days, but Bobby MBA says, "Please don't talk politics. PT's uncle has already screwed Americans today."
I have no idea what he's talking about.
I don't know
and
what's going on.
We're not talking about politics. We're just making jokes.
Listen, I'm just here to talk sports, folks.
We are talking sports.
We're just here to talk sports
I promise.
and onion burgers. That's all we're doing on Locked In today. Tightly contested race right now between Arbuckle and Beatonbow. Still too close to call. Sam and Edmond says it's Sam Presti for re-signing both Jay Will and SGA. Well, SGA signed the Supermax today, which is July 1st, so we'll consider Sam Presti for the month of July, but we're talking about June here. Randy from Miami says, keep in mind, in the spring, Arbuckle used a lot of 12 personnel with a tight end wing lined up on the same side. Canick will play that wing a lot. 12 personnel. Hello. That's kind of fun.
You know, there are teams that run 12 personnel in the SEC.
Well, and like
Alabama did it a few years ago. The last few years of Nick Saban, I think they did it. But it is kind of going away.
It's a little bit archaic, but if your 12 personnel involves a guy that's as athletic as Jaron Canick at one of those tight end spots,
right,
it's a little bit more dangerous than your average 12 personnel package.
But then here's the other thing about this, too. How polished of a tight end is Jaron Canick going to be?
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I don't think he needs to be terribly polished. And actually, from what I've heard, he's looked pretty natural as a route runner. From what we saw in spring practices, he looked pretty natural as a route runner. So it's evident that there's some muscle memory that's still there because he played mostly offense in high school, right? So I don't think he necessarily needs to be a technician, especially playing tight end. But he's going to be a guy that, in my mind, is going to be used to stretch the field.
Which is interesting that you say he doesn't need to be a technician. For 12 personnel to work and really be deadly, you've got to have guys who can be matchup nightmares, with a corner or with a linebacker. So if he can just get open and use his size, then that 12 personnel becomes a lot much more effective than if he wasn't going to be a great route runner or a great knowledge of space, for instance.
What was the text I wanted to get? I lost it here. So many texts are flying in, which is great. Always love to see the text line hopping. Drew from Plymouth says, I would say Jenny B for Recruit of the Month. Got the 5-star in Chaston and Shoddy out of Ireland. Who is Shoddy out of Ireland? That was a big deal when it happened, mostly because Ireland isn't really known for producing hoopers, but OU got him one. Apparently a Shoddy out of Ireland. Let me know, Drew from Plymouth. Who is that you're referring to from Ireland? Have to get a little eval going. I'll toss that to Grayson Singleton, who's much more inclined in the hoops realm than I am. But Greg and Muskogee, as we kind of shift gears to recruiting here, we've been all over the place, but I love these types of shows, bouncing from one thing to the next. Greg and Muskogee asked, Parker, has Texas A&M offered Hackett over here in Fort Gibson? That's 4-star offensive tackle Cooper Hackett, the state's #1 prospect in 27. He says, I have a buddy that is kind of around that recruitment, and he told me a dollar amount that was thrown out, and I'm not going to repeat it on here, but I find it very far-fetched. Yes, Texas A&M has offered Cooper Hackett, Greg. As far as dollar amounts that are being thrown out right now, it really genuinely doesn't matter. Dollar amounts are going to matter 9 months from now for Cooper Hackett. Next spring is when those dollar amounts are going to start to matter. And no doubt, the dollar amount that he is worth at each of the institutions that has offered him is going to change after his junior year. Whether for better or for worse, that value that they place on him is going to change. So I don't know necessarily what Texas A&M is willing to pay for Cooper Hackett right this second, but I certainly believe that will change because we're going to see what the junior tape looks like, and that will cause the opinion to shift. Maybe for the better, maybe for the worst.
And we talked about it with guys like Jackson Cantwell. You go back to last year's class with Michael Fasusi. Cooper Hackett plays a position that is a pristine position that commands a ton of money.
Oh boy, the politics inclined texters are going at each other now. Somebody in the 918 says, "Tell that liberal D-bag to shut his yap. It's a great day to be an American." Something big happened in the world of politics.
I know what it is, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Is it the bill?
Yes.
Does it have to do with that? Whatever they're calling it, the big bill.
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of big bill, still can't decide based on the feedback from the text line whether it's Beatonbow
this
or
one's going to
Arbuckle.
be. I think we're very close to calling it for Ben Arbuckle.
Okay. Gonna have to keep an eye on those bellwether counties throughout the break. TJ Stan says, I think Kanak will get a few carries in the backfield. Wouldn't hate that. We saw on the high school tape what he's capable of when carrying the football.
It'll be interesting to see how many ways Ben Arbuckle comes up with to deploy Jaron Kanak.
Hey, last time Jaron Kanak had a football in his hands, he scored.
That is a very good point.
Fumble return against Temple last
Yes.
year, in case you forgot. Spartan Sooner says, as long as Kanak doesn't throw it to the other team, we're good. Yes and amen to that. All right, folks, we got to hit another timeout here. Boy, you guys are all over it on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, and I absolutely love it. Got a bunch of stuff that I wanted to hit over the course of the show that we have not gotten to yet. So it's going to be a jam-packed final segment. Come on back with us here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
A true Sooner fan wouldn't be caught dead without the KREF app. Join the Army. Get the app. Tell your friends. This is The Ref, where diehard Sooner fans listen. The wait is almost over, and football is almost back. What better way to celebrate than to give members of the Ref Army opportunities to win big with the Ref's third annual Gridiron Giveaway. Join us for our Gridiron Giveaway, live from Buffalo Wild Wings in Norman, just south of Highway 9 on Classen, from noon until 7, as we give away 70 different teams from the Power Conferences. And those lucky enough to get one of the final 4 finishers in the college football playoff will get one of our 4 grand prizes. Even members of the Ref Army who don't get a team still get a chance at one of our many instant prizes. The Ref's third annual Gridiron Giveaway is brought to you by Riverwind Casino and Hotel. Riverwind is complimented by a variety of bars, restaurants, and the best live music in the metro. It's no surprise that Riverwind is always a good time. That's the Ref's Gridiron Giveaway at Buffalo Wild Wings in Norman on July 30th from noon to 7. The home of Sooner fans.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Coach Stoops here for Van Hoos Fence. If you want to work with the best local fence company and get championship service, contact my friend Mark and the Van Hoos Fence team. Van Hoos Fence gives each customer the most professional craftsmanship and competitive pricing in Oklahoma. From wood to chain link to vinyl to metal fences, the Van Hoos Fence team does it all. Contact the Fencing All-Americans at Van Hoos Fence, 405-735-1167 or vhfence.com.
Introducing Janiking, the greatest team to ever clean. We take pride in maintaining spotless environments, allowing local businesses to shine better than ever before. With our cutting-edge technology and expert team, we ensure every nook and cranny is pristine at Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. That's right, Janiking is proud to be a partner of OU football and OU athletics. For commercial cleaning services, go to janiking.com. That's JANIKING.com. Janiking, the king of clean, and go Sooners.
Teachers are dynamic leaders shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. They're skilled experts, discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, leading by example. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org, supported by the U.S. Department of Education and 1 million teachers of color.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Kelly Clarkson, and as the daughter of a school teacher, I know just how important education is. No matter how old you are or your situation, continuing to learn will enrich your life and help remove barriers you didn't even know were there. So much opportunity, y'all. Whether it's a foreign language, history, or a different way to look at things, take some time each day to learn something new. This message is courtesy of the United States Air Force.
Bob Hurley RV is the largest family-owned and operated full-service RV dealership in Oklahoma. Conveniently located on the east side of I-35 between Wilshire and Britton, our dealership has over 400 new and used RVs in stock with options in all price ranges. Need financing? Bob Hurley has 27 RV lenders and terms up to 240 months. Need service? Bob Hurley RV has 36 bays in our state-of-the-art service department. Come see us at Bob Hurley RV, the Oklahoma football tailgate headquarters. What other dealers say is impossible, we do every day.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Via OU Heck on the text line. I've heard rumors that there are dead people and illegal immigrants voting for Arbuckle. Need voter fraud laws for the Recruit of the Month award.
Oh, man.
Still a really tight race, man. It feels like every single vote I see for Arbuckle, somebody casts one for Biedenbow.
Given what just recently happened, I may steer away from the political analogies for a day or two before I get myself in trouble.
I guess we could award co-recruiters of the month. Have we done that before? Oh, yes.
No.
Back
That's a cop-out, though.
I agree it is. But back in August of 2023, we awarded co-recruiters of the month distinctions to Todd Bates and Ronnie Crimson. I do recall that. So, hey, it wouldn't be unprecedented if we did that. Hey, for those of you that can access OUinsider.com right now, and again, if you can't, keep trying. Everything's going to get resolved on the back end at some point here, hopefully soon. But for those of you that can access OUinsider.com, you know that I posted some intel earlier this morning on Joel Wyatt, the top 100 athlete out of Bell Buckle, Tennessee. Bell Buckle, Tennessee. Consensus top 100 player across the industry. Two-way stud. Some programs like him at receiver. Some programs like him on the defensive side of the ball, at safety, at corner, even at linebacker. He's a do-it-all guy. He postponed his commitment date, and it was a topic of conversation yesterday because the news was fresh. He announced yesterday morning that he was postponing his commitment date. He was supposed to commit between Tennessee and Vanderbilt on July 6th. Which is, what, Sunday? This Sunday? That is no longer happening. He has postponed his commitment indefinitely, and all of the details on that situation and Oklahoma's recent involvement, they offered him just 5 days ago. All those details are posted up on OUinsider.com, but suffice it to say, Mr. Singleton, I do think Oklahoma is going to be in the mix with Joel Wyatt. That's an offer that is not nothing to him, especially with the way that the staff has prioritized their communications with him ever since they offered last Thursday.
Well, I guess they are basically taking the same playbook they used with DeZaphon Walker on this one.
Pretty much.
Which worked out last time, so rinse and repeat. I have no problem with that. They need another wide receiver. They absolutely do. That is now your position that you are at most of a scourge for right now. So you've got to figure out how you're going to get that wide receiver class together. The situation with Davian Gross and Jordan Clay remains to be seen how that's going to be resolved. Zach Turner, you probably don't want to project him into the class right now. So there is a need, and he's an intellectual kid, smart, built pretty well. He fits. He would fit what Jim Nagy wants. He seems like a Jim Nagy guy, too, just watching him play. So I'm all for it with Joel Wyatt. And if they can duplicate the process that they had with Zathan Walker, you could end up with a steal in the 2026 class.
You're talking about a national top 100 player by consensus across the entire industry. If Oklahoma was able to pull this off in the long run with Joel Wyatt, it would be enormous, mostly because it would provide a huge lift to your class ranking.
Yeah,
you
that's
sign
true.
a top 100 player, you're going to climb big time. And, man, I would say generally a good rule of thumb is that if you have 5 top 100 players, you have a spectacular class. Spectacular. If you have 3 top 100 players, I would categorize that class as great. If you can land 3 of the top 100 players in the country, that's a great class. Land 5, spectacular. Consider for a moment that Oklahoma already has, and I got to get familiar with the on-3 rankings here because the rivals rankings are seared into my brain. But Oklahoma certainly has a top 100 player in Bo Bentley committed. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. You know who's actually close is Daniel Norman. On3 thinks very highly of Daniel Norman. He is way high in their rankings. I believe just outside the top 150. So for Oklahoma, they have Bo Bentley. That's a top 100 guy. Depending on whose rankings you value, there are a bunch of guys that are in that conversation. Daniel Odom is probably the most highly regarded by consensus among that group. But you have one. Let's just say that Oklahoma lands Jake Krell. They land Davian Gross. That gets you to 3. And again, I feel like you're looking at a great class. 3 of the top 100. How could you get to 5? Well, I think it's certainly a distinct possibility that Jacob Eberhardt rises to that territory this fall. Because that kid is good, man.
He's a really good player.
And has just a very unique skill set at his size that I think is going to enable him to see a hike similar to what Robert Spears Jennings saw his senior year. He went from mid-tier 3-star to national top 150 prospect by the end of that cycle. So that's one possibility. Could Oklahoma land Jordan Clay next week? Got to fight off Baylor, but they're in the mix. They're right there. At that point, I mean, that I feel like right now is probably the most facile path to 5 top 100 players. I think if I had to peg a guy that was going to climb to that territory this fall, I'm probably going Eberhardt from amongst the guys that Oklahoma is very much in the running for. Am I forgetting anybody? Am I overlooking anybody? I guess Kevin Ford Jr., if that one went Oklahoma's way, but I don't really think that's going to happen. There's a path. There's a path to 5. I think 3 should be the expectation. I think it should very much be the expectation that Oklahoma lands at least 3 top 100 players. Because all you got to do is keep Bentley on board, which shouldn't be hard at all, as locked in as he is, and then just hold serve with Krell and Gross. And there you go. That gets you to 3.
I've been on this for weeks now. I think Oklahoma's class is going to end up pretty good. I don't know if the raw rankings are going to reflect that, but I know there's been some losses. I know there's been some guys that you thought Oklahoma was going to be able to get in. They just weren't able to seal the deal. But we talked about this last week while you were having technical problems in Indianapolis. I think this class has been underrated. I think right now this has been an underrated class by a lot of people, even locally. I think they've got really good players here. Now, are they going to get to that 5 top 100 guys? Maybe not, but there's a very feasible path that they do. But even if they don't, Parker, they've got dudes. They have brought in dudes that you can reasonably expect to be big-time contributors when their time comes and when their name is called upon. So, look, I like this class. I think if you can get that raw ranking up to where, people who don't look at all the things behind the scenes and they just see that ranking being, let's just say, 12. I think that's just icing on top of the cake at that point.
By the way, before we go any further, let's go to the decision desk. I am prepared to call the race by the slimmest of margins. Your KREF Recruiter of the Month elect.
Is that coming through the microphone?
Yes, it is. Is Ben Arbuckle. Ben Arbuckle wins a tightly contested battle over Bill Bedenbaugh for KREF Recruiter of the Month in June. Congratulations, Coach Arbuckle. It is his first such distinction, and he lands the distinction after, of course, picking up what may wind up being the most consequential addition of the entire 2026 recruiting cycle for Oklahoma in 4-star quarterback Bo Bentley.
And boy, did he almost screw that situation up.
Fortunately, almost only counts in horseshoes.
Hey, man, look. You put your chips to the table, you went after what you wanted, and it worked out for you. You get credit for that, and you are Recruiter of the Month.
He hit the jackpot.
But boy, did you give everybody in Norman a heart attack.
He hit the jackpot.
By the way, SBC Bates has sent us another super chat, and he has quoted you, Parker, saying, quote, "If I had to peg a guy."
I heard it. I didn't hear it in the moment. I heard it like 10 seconds later. It's like, oh. I know how our listeners are. I know where their heads went.
There was a couple on the text line.
Oh, I bet there were.
That caught it too.
The Waffler says, "Hey, fellas, you got a Braxton Lindsay update for me. Surely he isn't going to BYU with the latest revelations from that community." What revelations, Waffler?
Jesus.
What are you talking about? Elaborate, please. But no, I favor Oklahoma going into that decision next week for Braxton Lindsay. I don't think they're 100% out of the woods, but I feel pretty strongly that he's going to wind up picking Oklahoma because they regard him as a program cornerstone, a foundational piece. He's the type of guy that they're going to do what it takes to get within reason. And so I feel comfortable asserting that Braxton Lindsay is going to be a member of Oklahoma's 2026 signing class. Another guy I wanted to get to today is T-Ron Richardson, because he and Elijah Golden are kind of the only two guys still out there at defensive tackle for Oklahoma, at least among dudes that OV'd in June. Oklahoma may have to go further down the board this fall. They may have to, depending on what happens with Golden and Richardson.
I was going to ask you about Golden, given that he released a commitment date.
In poetic fashion, I do favor Notre Dame right now in that recruitment. He commits on July 26th, so there's time for things to change, certainly. There's time for Oklahoma to make a run. We'll see if they'll do so. T-Ron Richardson, I think, is the higher likelihood possibility for Oklahoma between the two. I like their odds a little bit better with T-Ron Richardson, and I do have some intel on that situation coming this afternoon to OUinsider.com. Again, for those of you that can access it, if you're still having login issues, you may just have to wait a day or two and circle back around. Again, really wish I could provide you any more specific instructions, but I'm not IT. But yeah, between T-Ron Richardson and Elijah Golden, the pieces are there for Oklahoma to put together a pretty strong defensive tackle class. But there's a lot riding on those two decisions, because if somehow you go 0 for 2, then, man, you're hurting. at that spot going into the fall. Oklahoma wants to take 3 defensive tackles in the 26 cycle. So, if you only got one of them in Brian Harris going into the season, odds are your options out there on the open market are not going to be that great. So what you almost have to bank on at that point is winning a bunch of football games and being able to flip somebody that's committed to another institution because you got the juice as a program.
And right on cue, Ron Alito says, where does OU stand with Valdon Sohn?
Not in the picture any longer. He did not OV, canceled it, went to Georgia instead. So, Valdon Sohn off the table at this point for Oklahoma. Not happening. Jake from Wisconsin says, there's some voter fraud here. I'm going to come down to the studios and riot. I'm glad you're that adamantly in support of Bill Biedenbow, Jake from Wisconsin. It's a nice change of pace from the usual demeanor of the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. But it is Arbuckle over Biedenbow by the slightest of margins as your K-Ref Recruiter of the Month for the month of June. And that's a wrap for us on this Tuesday installment of Locked In. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune, and we are going to do it all again tomorrow for one final time before a long weekend. The Rush comes your way next. Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman. Stay right here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll see you.